Hello students. In this session, I will be covering one of the journal program for BSc Computer Science students. The problem statement is 12th one. Write a screensaver style program that produces constantly changing images on a screen. The problem statement is that we have to design the application which acts as the screensaver program that produces constantly the images has to be changed, constantly changing images on a screen. Okay, so based on the time interval the images has to be changed. Here in this application we have to use the control called timer control, and we have to provide the time interval. We have to set the interval, either it might be 1 second or 2 second or whatever the time interval. So based on the time interval the images has to be changed. So let us begin the application. Okay, start the application. Select standard exe project. Here we have to include the images on the form, and also other than image controls we have to include a timer control. Okay, because for a specified time interval the image has to go on displaying one after the other. So here in our application I am going to insert four images. Okay, you can insert multiple images as required. You can insert four images, five images, six, or whatever number of images. So here I will design the first user interface here. So image box first I will design here on the form. First image control, then another image control here, then third one, and fourth one. You can resize them and arrange them. Fine. Okay, I will just decrease the size of the form here. Let the form size be this much. Okay, so other than these four image controls I will add the another very important control called timer control. Double click on the timer control and you can set anywhere on the form. Fine. Now the design is over, the UI is ready, user interface is over. We have to change the properties. So first select the form and change the form properties. The name of the form I will set it to FRM1. You can set any appropriate name. And caption, I will change the caption as screensaver. Then I will change one more property called, that is for the form, border style. Okay, let it be as it is, sizable only. Later on we'll change that. Okay, so only these two properties I have changed for the form, that is name as well as caption. Then for the first image control, image box, I will change the property called name img1. Let the name be img1. And see, here we have to insert the images, right? So how to insert? We can insert the images using the property called picture property of the image. So picture, select this browse button and go to the location where the images are present. So we have the images. I have already downloaded some of the images and the images are present in the folder called here F. So you can select the images here, and here See, when you select the image, actually the image is displaying in this manner, okay, as the image size is larger one, but we have to reduce it to the smaller size. So here we have the property called stretch property for the image control, so make it to true. Okay, stretch property, set it to true, so that whatever the size you are setting for the image control, within that size the image will be displayed. If you set it to true, only within the only within that specified size the image will be set. Okay, let the image be like this. Then see, remember, we have changed the name property of the image in img1. Then we have changed the picture property and I have selected the image here. Then stretch property of the image I have changed. Fine. Then the same thing for the next image, that is img2 as the name. Then picture property, I will select the next picture, second image, and also set the size of this image. Reduce the size, just drag and set it here. Okay, see here, as the image is not completely visible, if we want to view the image completely within the specified size, then we have to set the stretch property of the image, that is stretch, and make it to true. Now the image is completely visible within the specified width and height. Next, third image, we have to set img3 as the name of this control, img3. Then picture property, I will select the next picture. The same thing, reduce the size of this. Now drag and set it here, just below the. Okay, let it be here, and set the stretch property to true, so that it can be visible completely. Then next, img4. Then image property, the picture property, set the next picture. Okay, decrease the size as it is not visible property. Either you can manually decrease the size here, or by specifying height and top property you can just change the size. I will just decrease. See here, it is not visible properly. First I will set stretch property to true. Now it is visible, and we can stretch property, just make it as true. Then decrease the size of this image control. Okay, so the four images are inserted here. The design is complete, and we'll set the properties of timer. So for timer, I will change the name of this timer as timer itself. Okay, and see, by default the timer is enabled. Let it be enabled itself, true only. Now we have to write the code for, see, when we run the application here or when we start the application here, actually one of the images, see, when I start the application the timer has to be started. Okay, as now the timer is started because it is enabled. Okay, when the form is loaded the timer is started here, but we have not written the code for any code for timer event, so it is not working here. So now see here, when I run the application, when the form load event occurs, then what has to be done? The first one of the images must be displayed and other three images must not be displayed. Okay, one image must be visible, other three images must not be visible when the form load event occurs for the first count. Next, for the next count, in the sense for the next time interval, next image has to be visible, other three images are to be disabled or must not be visible. Then for the next time interval, the third time interval, okay, if we set the time interval as 1000 milliseconds or 1 second, then for first second one image must be visible and other three image must not be visible. Then for the second, for the next time interval, that is second, the second image must be visible, third, fourth and first images must not be visible, like that. Fine. So see here we have to write the code for form load event, because when the form load occurs or when the form is loaded, it has to perform here. So before that I will set the timer interval here, interval property, and I will set it to 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second. And see, for the form load event, you can enable the timer, that is timer one dot, sorry, timer dot enabled equal to true. So when the form is loaded, the timer is enabled here. So when the form is loaded here, the timer is enabled here. Okay. Anyway, you are not changing the enabled property of the timer. Anyway, it is true only. True in the sense when the application starts, the timer will be enabled itself. Okay, either you can write this code or you can leave as it is. No need to write also, because the timer enabled property we are not changing it anyway. Okay, it will be enabled always. So now we have to write the code for timer event. So what event we have to, what particular operations that we have to specify here. Now just observe the code here. So private sub timer underscore timer, the timer event. First, I will declare one of the module level variable here, dim counter, as of integer type. So why counter I'm using? To count the time intervals. Okay, so just observe here. If counter equal to 1, then I will explain the code later after completing the code. If counter is equal to 1, then later. It means that for the first counter or the for the first time interval, what image has to be displayed, that we are writing here. If counter is equal to 1 or if the counter is 1 for the first time interval, okay, then the name of the first image is img1 dot visible. Visible property we have to select, right, to make it to visible or not to visible. So img1 dot visible is equal to true. The first image has to be visible. Wherein, what about other images? The visible property of other images must be set to false. So img2 dot visible equal to false. Then img3 dot visible equal to false. Then img4 dot visible equal to false. All the other three images must not be visible. Okay, and after that we have to initialize the counter variable to the next, that is counter equal to 2. Counter equal to 2. Now the counter value is changed to 2. See, whenever if the counter value is 1, then what happens? This true block, the complete thing will be executed. That is, first image will be visible and other three images are not going to be visible. And then counter is initialized again to value 2. Then after initializing the counter value, we are checking the condition again. Else if, now again we are checking the counter condition. Counter equal to 2, then else if counter is equal to 2, then if the counter is 2 or if for the second interval, then what image has to be displayed? The second image has to be visible. Other images, image 1, image 3 and image 4 must not be visible. Okay, so img1 dot visible equal to false. Earlier it was visible, now it became false. Then img2 dot visible equal to true. Then img3 dot visible equal to false. Then img4 dot visible equal to false. Then again the counter has to be increased. So counter is equal to now 3. Again else if condition for next. Else if counter equal to 3, it will check the condition whether the counter is equal to 3. Then if true, then again the third image has to be visible, other three images must not be visible. So img1 dot visible equal to false. Then img2 dot visible equal to false. Then img3 dot visible equal to true. Then img4 dot visible equal to false. Then counter equal to 4. Then else if counter equal to 4, if counter equal to 4, then fourth image has to be visible, other three images are to be not to visible. So img1 dot visible equal to false. Then img2 dot visible equal to false. Then img3 dot visible equal to false. Then img4 dot visible equal to true. Now see here. Now again I will initialize the counter to what? We don't have the fifth image. If you write 5, then counter will be assigned to with the value 5. But we are not going to check the condition that for counter 5 the image is not going to be displayed. Then again it has to start from counter equal to 1. So counter is equal to 1. Then after that we don't have to check the conditions then. So end if, then end sub. Now run the application. I will trace this program and explain you the coding part. Run the application. See here, one more change we have to do here. That is, see, this must be else case because after this one we are not going to check, right, any other cases. So this is the last condition. That is, else if counter is equal to 3, then this has to be executed. Then after that later on else part. So if none of the conditions are true, then what has to be done? If none of the conditions are true here, the else part will be executed. Just observe the code here. I will explain. Observe here. In the coding part, we have declared one of the module level variable called counter. Okay, so based on this counter value, this code is going to execute. So private sub timer1 or timer underscore timer, I have not written any code for the form load event. because see, for the timer control, if you have just disabled this one or by setting enable property to false, then when you run the application, when the form loads, then this has to be enabled. Okay, then that you can mention there. If you just disable this here, anyway we have not disabled here, the timer is enabled only. Okay, and also we have changed or we have set the interval property in the properties table only, here only in the properties menu only, that is 1000 for every 1 second. So no need to write the form load event there. Now when the form loads, the particular timer will be timer event will be called, or timer will be started and its timer event will be executed. So what is the code that we have written for timer? See, private, that is dim counter as integer, the variable counter as of type integer, then private sub timer underscore timer event. So when this event occurs, this complete code will be executed. When does this event occur? Whenever you run the application, automatically the timer will be enabled because its enabled property is true. Okay, so see here, if counter is equal to first, for the first iteration when the program executes, the timer will be called and the program starts checking the condition here. If counter is equal to 1, so it will check the value of counter variable. We have just declared the variable called counter, but we have not initialized any value for the counter variable. So this condition fails, counter is not equal to 1, because we have not initialized any value for the counter, in the sense it will be equal to 0 by default. Okay, so counter is not equal to 1, so this block will not be executed. Then again it will check the next condition, else if part. Again it will check the condition, if counter is equal to 2, then again the condition failed. We have not initialized the counter equal to 2, it is not at initialize, means it is equal to 0. So this condition also fails, then this true block will not be executed. Again it will check the next condition, is counter equal to 3, no, the condition fails, so this block will not be executed. Then it will execute what part? The else block. Okay, so whenever all these conditions are failed, directly the else block will be executed. So what is the else part? That is, see here, image1 dot visible is equal to false, image2 dot visible is equal to false, image3 dot visible is equal to false, so image4 dot visible is equal to true. So when you start your application, which image will be displayed? Visible. Image 4 will be visible first for the first count, for the first time interval. Okay, for the first timer, that is event, image 4 will be visible and all other three images are not visible because they are set to false. And image 4 will be visible for a specified interval of time. We have set for 1 second. So this complete code will be executed for 1 second. For 1 second, fourth image will be visible. Then counter value, the variable counter is initialized with the value called 1 and end if statement occurs. So when end if occurs, then again it will start from the timer event because this timer is enabled. So it will be working in the background for the first time interval, for then for second interval, third second, fourth second, fifth time interval, sixth time interval, like that. Okay, whenever the time interval changes, it is going to start, the program will execute from this event, from this line. Okay, so here timer, that is counter variable, is set to true, that is set to 1. Then when end if occurs, then for the next time interval again it will start executing from this line. Again it will check the condition, if counter equal to 1, yes, now the condition is true, counter was initialized 1 previously, so now the counter value is 1, so the condition is true. Then what happens? Then for the second time interval, image 1 will be displayed, visible. Then other three images are, image 2, image 3, image 4 are not visible. Okay, then whenever this condition is true, it will not go for checking the other condition, else parts. Okay, then end if will occur, then after end if, for the next time interval, third time interval, see, for this, whenever counter is equal to 1, whenever it is true, first image will be displayed, visible. Then second, third and fourth images are not visible, and counter value we are initializing it to value 2. Now the counter will become 2. Then after that, anyway the first condition became true, so the control will not execute the else if conditions or else part. Directly it will end here, end if. Then for the next time interval, for the third time interval, again it will check the condition. The counter is now equal to 2. Again it will start from here itself. If counter equal to 1, no, the condition fails. Currently the counter value is 2. Then again it will come for this block. Else if counter equal to 2, yes, the counter value is now 2. So this is true, this condition is true. Now it will execute this complete block. That is, image 1 will not be visible, and image 2 will be visible because it is set to true. 3 and 4 images are not visible. Then counter value we are setting it to 3. Now the counter will become 3. Then after that, end if. Then for the next time interval, again it will start from here itself for the timer. Again it will check the condition. If counter equal to 1, no, the counter value is currently 3, it is not equal to 1, condition fails. Then else if counter equal to 2, again the condition fails. Then else if counter equal to 3, again the condition, now the condition becomes true, counter is now equal to 3. So whenever it is true, then this block will be executed completely. Image 1 is not visible, image 2 is also not visible, wherein image 3 visible is true, image 4 is not visible, and counter we are assigning it to 4. Okay, again, now see, again after the time interval, again it will start from the timer event. So it will check the condition. Is counter equal to 1, fails. Counter equal to 2, again fails. Counter equal to 3, fails. Now else part will be executed. So in the else part, image 1, image 2, image 3 are not visible, wherein image 4 is visible again. So and again the counter is initialized to value 1. So again for the next time interval, fifth time interval, again it will start from here. Again it will check the condition. If is counter equal to 1, yes, it is equal to 1. So this will repeat until you close the application, because when we close the application, at that time only the timer will be closed. Fine. So I will run the application and show you how actually it is going to appear, the output. Run the application. See, fourth image, first, second, third, again the fourth image, then first, second, third, again the fourth image. Yes, as I have traced the program, first the fourth image is going to be displayed, then first, second. See, fourth, first, second, third. Again, start from 4, first, second, third. Getting? So for every 1 second, the images are changing here. So this is the output diagram. You have to draw this one. So this completes the journal program for BSc Computer Science students. Thank you.